Hey Tap Fam, Mike here. Do you want to fill your fridge with unique craft beers, ciders, or seltzers that you can't find locally? Then Tavour is your answer. I partner with them to bring you this exclusive offer for my Taproom listeners. When you use the promo code TAPROOM25, you get a $10 credit towards your next purchase when you spend $25 in the app or online. Tavour has it all, from IPAs to stouts, sours, ciders, and so much more. So make sure you use the promo code TAPROOM25 to get a $10 credit towards your next purchase. And now, on to the episode. All right, and we're back. This is episode 104 of the Taproom Podcast, and I'm your host, Mike. It's also the 2-year anniversary edition of the show. So I'm back in Arizona. Nav's with me. Jam's with me on this intro.
What up?
Ciao. Yeah, it's Super Bowl weekend. Big weekend.
Big gambling weekend.
Yeah, huge gambling weekend.
I'm down money already.
Yeah. Lost every bet I made yesterday.
So did I. We need to study up on our UFC because we went 3 for 1. What?
3 for 4?
3 for 4.
Yeah.
We didn't know that that Chinese fighter was a House of Fire.
Yeah.
Tatiana Suarez got fucking dismantled.
Oh, yeah. She looked good in the first, but
yeah,
that was it. After that, it was all over.
Yeah, it was a bit of an ass whipping.
Yeah. But yeah, excited for the Super Bowl today. This episode is with Mike Crea, the owner and founder of Unsung Brewing. So I'm excited for you guys to hear that one. Mike's such a great dude. Before we jump into the Super Bowl stuff, should we jump into... I brought this one out from Unsung. We brought it all the way to Arizona. It's their mimosa. It's a hard seltzer. We don't really do hard seltzers on the show. But this one is so damn good. And it's a 9.4 and it's early. So I figured, what a better way to start a Sunday.
When in Rome.
Yeah.
What a way to give your prediction or your rating away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Let me see.
I might have done a little bit of a heavy pour on my end.
A little bit here. Oh, smells splashback. It smells just like orange juice, so that's good.
Yeah. It smells like a mimosa. It's with, what is it? It's pineapple and, what is on there, Jam? Pineapple and grapefruit? Tangerine. Yeah.
Tangerine.
It's right up there.
The dog just crop dusted us.
Cheers. Oh, did Morgan fart?
Yes.
Fucking A, man. She hasn't farted on the show in a while.
Oh, God. That's a little boozy for me. The 9.4?
Yeah, it comes in at 9.4.
Oh, yeah, I can taste it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I really like this one, Mike. I mean, like, I tried it when I talked to him when we recorded this a couple weeks ago. And man, I was like, dude, yeah. I was like, you need something like that. That's great.
Fucking 9.
Yeah.
Mike, I'll take a pallet.
Yeah, there you go. That's a big compliment coming from Jam.
That's true. Jam's not a big hoppy guy.
Yeah. No, but I like this a lot. I'd give this a big fat 10 for me. I love this thing.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest mimosa guy.
Yeah.
But that's good. It's fresh. It's good in the morning, but for me, it's 7.
Yeah.
Big fat 10.
There you go. All right. So we got the Super Bowl coming up. Also, we did, we'll get into that in a sec. We did the Canning Day the other day, but we'll talk about that. Well, Super Bowls today. We got some parlays going. Eagles are underdog by 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5.
Who do you guys got?
I'm going to go on the side of history and take the Chiefs for a 3-peat.
Okay.
Eagles money line.
All right. I mean, I took Eagles money line too, so here we go. But I mean, it's like fucking Patrick Mahomes is just...
For the Eagles to do what they did with Commanders and still be underdogs to Patrick Mahomes, it just says a lot about him.
Yeah, man, I'm excited though. I mean, it should be fun. We're gonna have some good food. Jam's got some ribs in the smoker.
12 pounds of chicken wings.
Yeah,
20 pounds.
20 pounds of wings. I got to make some mac and cheese in a bit. There's gonna be a lot of food.
We got squares going.
A brisket coming.
Nice.
John Smith, and that's a real name.
Yeah.
Jam had got 10 Super Bowl squares or 10 squares. I mean,
yeah. There you go.
It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, and yesterday we went to Simple Machine Brewing in what is that?
It would be considered North Phoenix off of Deer Valley, right by the Deer Valley Airport.
Okay. Yeah, it was a cool little brewery. It's a cool, like, the inside's really cool. They have an outside patio. I mean, beers I had there, I think there's Helical Haze. You know me, I'm not the biggest hazy guy, but it was actually really good. And then I also had their it wasn't that Taste of Arizona. I think it was. I think it was Taste of Arizona. Like that, yeah, it was like a Pilsner, really good. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I had the it was a sweet name. It's called the Day Crusher. It was the blonde ale. It was smooth. It was like a simple day drink. It was good.
Yeah, I had that one too, and something called a Bippity Boppity.
Oh yeah, that was the Italian Pilsner.
Yeah, Italian Pilsner. That was good.
Yeah,
it was a fun time. This morning we had some chorizo, big old fat breakfast burrito in my mouth. If you know what I mean.
Yep.
Knob woke up with meat in his mouth.
There it is. Always.
As is tradition.
Yeah. We came pretty close on some bets yesterday.
We did.
Yeah, the UFC, we hit 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
And then
hockey, 3, or is it 5 out of?
Yeah, I went 4 for 5 on hockey.
That was my bad.
Yeah, fucking Kings and the Ducks, fuckers. We took the over in that game, 5.5, and they only scored
3.
No, I was like, that's a lock.
That was a lock. That was lock of the year.
Yeah, didn't work out well. But then the college basketball, we got fucked by who?
Kansas State.
And that was like, what, 5 out of 6, I think?
Yeah.
Fucking
that screwed us. Yeah,
hopefully today we make up for it.
Shout out to the Phoenix Open, too.
Oh, yeah, Jam was at the Phoenix Open.
Jam was there.
You were at the 16th hole?
Going? Yeah, 16th hole, the stadium hole. I'm going to throw all the beer on.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, you get a hole in one.
Dang.
Somebody did this weekend. I forgot.
Oh, somebody got a hole in one there?
Yeah, they just threw a bunch of beer, a bunch of cans onto the green.
He not only got a hole in one, he
dunked it. Yeah,
he just dunked it.
Yeah, he dunked it in.
Dang. Fuck. What are the odds of that?
I don't know.
I mean, I've only ever done that like once. So
Mario Golf.
Yeah, Mario Golf. And maybe once in Tiger Woods. No, was it PGA? Whatever, 2K, whatever.
Yeah, that's a great game. I tried to look for it on the App Store, but it's not there.
Yeah, it was a fun one.
Also, shout out to the Tav.
No. Oh yeah, Tavern. Yeah, hey, good.
That place is cool.
What were the wings you got? It was garlic. What?
Honey hot garlic.
Honey hot garlic.
Yeah, awesome dive bar. We got beers there. They came in a can.
Yeah.
No glass, no nothing, just in a can.
Yeah, some Busch Light in a can.
Light in a can.
Yeah.
Dive bar.
It was a true dive bar. It was dark in there, but yeah, even John said we walked out. It was like Vegas because it was so dark, and then we walk out, it was blinding light.
Yeah, blinding light for sure. And then we watched UFC. We might have watched an old Rumble. Might have had some shots of tequila.
That's probably bad to play that game. It was well, if the guy who came out was dead, you had to take a shot. I got Owen Hart.
Yeah, you got Owen.
I got Owen Hart. That was the 1990.
A lot of
what Rumble was that?
It was 95.
95 Rumble.
Yeah, it was a lot of tequila drank last night. Well, that was drunk last night.
Yeah, that was probably should never play that game again.
Every time I go to Circle K, Nav comes out with tall cans.
No. Went to Circle K twice yesterday, and Jam came out with tall cans every time.
Yeah, tall cans of Busch Light.
Yeah, went on Razor Ride.
1.
There you go.
Razor Ride was cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, Jam took us off road. I was like, I'm trying to hold on to the beers. Fucking one of the bag broke. His phone flew, can flew out and hit the thing. It was going a little wild out there, but it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time. And today we got
kind
of a long day ahead of us.
Yeah, definitely a long day, and then a long drive tomorrow morning.
Long drive tomorrow morning. Jello shots in the.
Oh fuck! I forgot about the Jello shots.
Jello shots are in the kegerator.
No.
Well, what flavors did you do, Jeff?
We did a Mexican candy, which is my personal favorite. We did cherry whip, lime whip, blueberry, raspberry lemonade, or something like that, and a watermelon whip.
I'm gonna have just one of each. That's it.
No, each person has to have 7 of each.
Well, you made 180.
Yeah.
You got like 50 people coming there.
Yeah.
I was gonna have 3.
There you go. Let's see. Also, we did the canning day on Thursday with Dario and Zeke over at Burning Daylight. I love the way the can came out. The beer came out great. It's crisp, but it's still super hoppy, and it has that dryness on the finish. It came out really good. I was gonna crack it open on the show, but I was fuck it.
Yeah.
Let me get some of the finished by mimosa.
Yeah, because Knob hasn't tried it yet. Jam tried it yesterday.
Yeah, I drank a whole one yesterday.
It's gonna do a little dumpski there.
I think I got 8 parlays open for today.
Yeah, I think I have 6.
I only got 2. I better step the shit up.
I got tails. right off the bat. So if that hits, I'm alive. But if it misses, that parlay's dead.
Yeah, I got the doink where if it hits the uprights.
What'd you put on the tails?
I put 10.
Nice.
But it's tails and then like Xavier Worthy to 25 yards. And
there you go.
AJ Brown to get 25 yards in the first half. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Tails never fails.
Daylight,
I went
West
crazy.
Coast, India pale ale.
Yep.
All right, let's try it.
Yeah, it's everything I wanted it to be.
Now, did you choose the hops, or did you have a say in what hops go in?
Yeah, me and Dario, we met up one day, but I think it was like in November, way before we did the brew day, and we were like kind of, he's like, well, what were you kind of thinking? So he was kind of guiding me like on which hops we should probably use and stuff like that. But yeah, we were able to choose them.
And how many hops went into it?
4 or 5.
Now, was it like an equal amount of some, or did you sprinkle in a couple?
There was something, but there's also like the cryo stuff, like the cryo extract, I believe was cryo extract that went into it too. So it was quite a bit, but it was a fun day.
How long was the brew process? You guys were there all day, weren't you?
Yeah, but it's kind of like you do something for like 30 minutes and then you wait, and then you do something for like 40 minutes and then you wait another 40 minutes. It's kind of like a stop and go kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why you kind of clean and stuff in between. I wasn't really doing the cleaning. Dario was doing a lot of that, but yeah.
Nice. Congrats, guys.
Yeah, but it's everything I wanted it to be. It was a fun time. The best part was Jizzy being able to do the can artwork and stuff like that. I love the way the can came out.
Yeah.
It pops. So yeah, definitely if you guys are in the area, or even if you're not too far away, get down to Lomita, have some beers there, pick up a 4-pack.
4-pack of what? Brutes of Our Labor?
Yeah, Brutes of Our Labor, 6.5, I think it is, 6.5%. Or is it 6.4? It says on the can.
6.5.
6.5, okay.
Yeah, 6.5.
Did you want it to be a 6.5, or are you looking for something?
That's usually what I'm like. I like the 6.5, 7. Like, I love doubles, like double West Coast and stuff like that. But I like it because it still like feels lighter. It doesn't feel like super heavy, and you can I feel like you can drink quite a few of them and not feel like, if you drink 2 or 3 doubles, you might be feeling it.
Yeah. I mean, if he gives you another opportunity, hope you guys should just go crazy with one. Just
oh yeah, I mean, I was
like a 10%er.
Yeah, I was even thinking like if we did one down the road, kind of do one for Gunner, but call it like Hazy Rays.
Okay.
And something like that, because you can't put Gunner on a can.
Probably not.
Yeah,
probably not in this climate.
No. So I was like, if we did one called like Hazy Rays and do like a hazy and stuff like that,
cry.
He probably would. But yeah, maybe down the road we'll see.
That'd be fucked if he didn't like it.
Yeah. But even like, me and Luis have talked about doing a collab together at Level Up. And so, I mean, that would be like a small batch, but it would be fun. Like, once they're gone,
Yeah.
So.
Well, are we ranking this or what?
You can if you want to. Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I'm biased, so I can't really say. I mean, I love it though. It's my,
I'll give it a 10.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not the biggest IPA guy, so my score's not fair. But
yeah,
if I'm gonna drink anyone, it'd probably be something like this. So
okay.
I'll go big fat 10.
Yeah, all right, there we go. 10s across the board. Love it.
Clean 30.
All right. Okay, guys. Well, hope you guys enjoy the interview. Stay tuned for the outro. All right, guys. We're back in the tap room, and I'm your host, Mike, and I have a very special guest on the show. It'll be his 3rd time on the show. He was on episode 1, he was on episode 52, and now it'll be episode 104 when this comes out. Mike Crea of Unsung. What's going on, brother?
How you doing? Good to be back.
I'm glad you're back. This means a lot to me, just being able to come back to you, because you gave me my shot, really, being able to be, I mean, it was Taps and Tailgates. It did 100 episodes, but then it changed like on a dime to the tap room, and you were still like, yeah, come down. Like, let's do this thing. So I am always grateful to you, and you'll always be on every 52 episodes for the anniversary. So I really appreciate it.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. And I do enjoy talking about this ad nauseum, but I think you always come prepared with some really good questions, and hopefully, people appreciate the conversation. Like I said, I like to talk about these things, and it's so ever changing too, right?
Oh yeah.
From the last time we talked. So,
yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to ask you too. I'm gonna have a little sip of this. I'm drinking the Chaos Erupts. It's West Coast.
West Coast, yeah.
6. I think it says 6.7.
6.7, yeah.
Oh, there we go. My eyes aren't losing them just yet.
So we got silver in GABF on that for American Pale 2 years ago.
Love it.
And
so good.
This is the first time we came back out with it.
Wow.
Since then. And it's not because we haven't tried. We have, and we made it a few times, and we just didn't think it was to the level that it needed to be before we brought it back out. So I'm sure a lot of people forgot about this beer, but we finally hit it right, this one, and decided to put it out again.
No, man, it's delicious. And honestly, I was going to ask you, like, what's the last year been like for you? I know it's been a crazy time in the industry. So what's it been like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely been difficult. There's been some challenges just from a business owner standpoint, which is not specific to our industry. I'm sure it's more specific to the service industry. So, since we last talked, I think that's really when inflation started to pinch a lot of people. And then, I remember I kept making excuses and saying things like, well, winters are already always tough. We just need to make it to spring and see how things are going. And then spring came. And, my thoughts then were, well, spring break always gets a lot of people to come visit for Disney, and we see a lot of overflow from that. And then that came and went, and it really wasn't much of a blip. And then I kept saying, well, okay, let's just, summertime's always great. Let's get ourselves a summertime. And so made it to summertime, and that was kind of, highs and lows, not very consistent as well. And so that's really when it smacked me in the face in terms of, just the buying power out there and what people have and what they don't have and what they need to spend. We talk to people that come into our tap room and, they would still come. They maybe just had a beer or so forth. But, when you have to make decisions about, gas in your car to make it to work or enjoying yourself weekends, my wife and I, if we went out to dinner, we were like, oh, well, let's just get, a salad and a main or something, then we're not going to get appetizer. And so, everybody cuts back in their own ways.
Yeah.
But what I kind of mentioned to you a little bit about this with the on the flip side of that was kind of like a double whammy for us was that, for consumers, prices were increasing, but also for the business owner, the prices were increasing. So for us to continue to make the product that we make, everything across the board went up 20-25%.
Yeah, that's insane.
So we had to juggle that as well as, up and down sales and try and figure out. And I think what we're good at and what we've been good at and what COVID prepared us for was being flexible in the industry, And so I'll give you an example. We're self-distributed. If we were with a distributor and we were tied to that and needing to make X amount so that they could sell or that they say that they can sell, that would really dictate a lot of the things we did in the brew house. But one of the things that we were able to accomplish, and we did it kind of during COVID, was we just kind of scaled our batches down a little bit.
Okay.
And what that did was that gave us less amount of product, but fresher product, and it was higher turnover.
Okay.
So we always had new stuff in the tap room for people to try, and it didn't last long, which is great because it wasn't just kind of sitting there, piling up dust and everything. And so by scaling down batches, we were able to be a little bit more creative and really come out with multiple styles at the same time. Now, volume is always the name of the game. We want to get back to selling X amount of volume. But, these are kind of some of the things that we've done to kind of meander through this process.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I feel like, it just being that, I guess, just like I said, just a weird time in the industry. I mentioned off there, like talking to different, owners or brewers, and they're mentioning like, it's just a weird kind of time and trying to get people, in there, but trying to, make things more enticing, for people to come out. But I think that's a really cool thing that you did, scaling it down, but then, creating that turnover. You don't have to worry about, product sitting there.
Yeah. I mean, and when you realize that, you realize it because you end up having product that you're sitting on. And so we're appropriately, we've had to dump some product just so that we can kind of get on that train of scaling back our production a little bit, and so just kind of riding the wave. I talked to one of the owners of Bottle Logic, Steve, and he has a really, really good pulse on this stuff. I talked to him about a year and a half ago, and I just remember him saying something along the lines of, we're just kind of going to, it's good to ride that wave a little bit. And I didn't understand what that meant, but he was able to foresee what was happening. And, they're in multiple states. So I think that they started seeing trends that all I see is local Orange County, and of course, which can kind of be a bubble at times. And so he was 100% right. And it was about a year and a half, 2 years before all this happened. And so, that insight was spot on.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, being able to foresee something like that coming. But I mean, I feel like, one of the things, like what you're talking about scaling back, the cool thing is that you were having this new stuff every time, like that, I feel like that's a good thing for breweries, and maybe other breweries can try that, because then they can get more people like, oh, they have this, now they have something new, I got to go try that too.
Yeah. And to our core, one of the things that and I think a lot of breweries are this way, and I think that's what makes our industry so awesome, is that you're kind of on the invention side of things. And so you like experimenting on different things. And when times are tough or sales aren't what they need to be, you really start to stifle the creative experimenting a little bit. We've embraced that. We don't stifle it, and it's because we can. Here at the Taproom, we have the 3-barrel system, and so what I'm getting at is there's been a tremendous amount of changes in the different hop products out there, the different yeast strains out there. Some are extremely efficient, in terms of keeping off flavors at a minimum. The thiol thing, I don't know if you've ever talked about that, which has its positives and negatives. But what I'm getting at is all these new products and new things would continue to come out, and for us to tinker with them it's an important part of our business, and so we needed to keep that going as well, which comes at a cost as well, right? So you make stuff and it doesn't work out, and that's okay and everything, but we always try to learn something from every batch, and that's kind of like I always call it the curtain at the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain. We'll make something and it's not what we thought was going to happen, but the public isn't in on those conversations, and so you still put a product out there, and they're looking at it for face value, but without seeing all that back work. And some of that stuff hits, and some of it's great, but we're always trying to reel in back to what the core purpose of that beer was.
Yeah, it's about balancing creativity and consistency.
Yeah.
Because you have to, especially like in this industry, like with the amount of like ebbs and flows there can be, like you have to find that balance between the two, because you want to be creative, like you said, and but you also need to make sure that you have certain, your cores, right? Like you need to have those ready, but then you can venture out and try something different. That's why I love it. Like I love that part of it too. Like I love when they're just like, yeah, or even if you make something really great, or like you made this one and then you took it off, for a little while because you wanted it to be at that level. I find that stuff like fascinating. I feel like the want for more and the like creatively in life, in the industry, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I always say this, brewing to me has a direct connotation to life.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is not only are you working with a live product, living product that needs things like oxygen, and nutrient and so forth, but life is doing things, taking risks, taking chances, failing, learning, failing, learning, and then hopefully all of those things, depending on how stubborn you are, and I'm pretty stubborn, the fruits of those things end up creating something magical or something, amazing.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that I like, and the correlation I like when it comes to brewing and what we do. But I've learned a long time ago, and again, we'll be 8 years old this August, that the worst thing you can do, like in your example with Chaos, and I knew this, was to put out something that people expected X and it ended up being Z. That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You're better off getting rid of the product or not going that route.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about like the ebbs and flows a little bit of the industry. Like if someone was going to say, they come to you for advice about wanting to open up a brewery or something like that, what would be like something you'd tell them, or some advice you'd give them?
It's a different advice than 10 years ago, or 5 years ago. I thought about this. I think about this a lot because I probably wouldn't open a brewery today if I was. Now, if someone was dead set on doing it, my biggest thing with it is, can you just open up a brewery today and make incredible beer? I think there's so many variables that go along with that.
Yeah.
So to me, that's too risky of a thing. I would much more be open to opening up a brewery that was specific or specializing in something or had a niche.
Okay.
And so, out here for a long time, the niche was hops and West Coast. And fortunately, we got in at a time where we're grandfathers, so to speak. But you have to continue to make good beer. I don't know if, I think the other variables that go along with it are, I think I said this the first podcast, so full circle. Doug Constantiner over at Society Brewing in San Diego, when I first opened, said you need three things. You need to make great beer, you got to be in a great location, and you got to have really good marketing.
Yeah. And
I kind of think those things are still true. So
100%.
I think you probably can add to that now. Food. I think the days of opening up a brewery in an industrial complex, even though that is financially feasible, I don't know if those are working anymore.
Yeah.
So, I think if you put it in a spot that's got a built-in community, that's number one, because there's a lot of, cold Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights in December and January. And the people that are going to come out are going to be your local community.
Yeah. They're going to be your Norms and Cliffs from Cheers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that would be some of the advice I would give if someone was opening up a brewery. I would have some kind of a niche, whether it's, lagers or something that you just really, really specialize in, and kind of stick to that. Other than that, the industry is changing from a perspective too about what people are drinking, right?
Yeah.
So, the other piece of advice I would say is, don't shy away from doing or trying everything. We have the ability to make ciders now. So,
that's awesome.
We're going to dip our toe into that a little bit for the new year. Obviously, seltzers are a thing, and they're here. And so kind of what I mentioned way back when about the hazy craze.
Yeah.
I learned that lesson, and so I don't fight the ever changing habits in our industry, but I'll always go back to what we said was, okay, if we're going to make X, we're going to make X to the best of our ability, and we have a standard. Just because we, personally aren't drinking seltzers on a daily basis, that doesn't mean our standard changes from what the consumer gets.
Exactly. You still want to make it as best as it can be.
Right. And so, I can't remember where I was. I did a lot of traveling over Christmas, and I went somewhere, I won't say anyways, but in the Midwest, and the beers are phenomenal, excellent beers. And they had a seltzer, and I was just curious because I was like, oh, wow, these guys make such great beer that I got to imagine the seltzer is really good. And I wanted to taste the base seltzer, and I got the seltzer, and it was definitely extracted and fake and phony, and I kind of remember saying to myself, like, man, that is not what I expected from this. But they're trying to supply a product to a growing trend as well. But from that, I kind of was like, that I'm glad that our stuff is trying to stay on a on a mainstay level where we're we have to have some type of integrity with the beers and stuff.
Of course.
I mean, Green Cheek makes amazing beer, and they have a seltzer that is, one of, if not the top selling.
The lavender one?
The lavender lemonade, yeah. And that's a perfect example of what kind of talking about, where they made this to their best of their ability, and you can tell it's a high quality product. And I think that you don't have to be a cicerone, you don't have to be a sommelier or whatever or a chef to even realize that when you taste something, there's something about it that's different.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, and that's a great example. But I love the fact that it doesn't matter what style it is that you're brewing or that you're making, it has to be up to your standards, and it has to be up to the quality that you want, because you want, that's important. I mean, you get people that come in here, they try something, they love it, and they're like, oh, I need to go back because, they're doing something else, or they have a new seltzer out, or they have stuff like that. So, yeah.
And we have a struggle with that internally, and it's just because of the way we are made up. But I don't know if I've told you, like, we're a small, in our production facility in Tustin, we have a small crew. It's three people. It's me, it's Taryn, our head brewer, and then we have a cellarman. And then I would say our delivery driver and our sales rep share in that circle a little bit. But the reason I'm pointing that out is, I don't have kids, but I'm told that if you just have one kid and something goes wrong, you know who did it.
Yeah.
And once you start adding to the family, it gets a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
With that same analogy, I like to keep a smaller crew because A, I keep people around me that I trust, and B, sometimes you can have too many chefs in the kitchen. Yeah. And I can't be there all the time, right? So the struggle we have sometimes is we'll make a product and I'm constantly saying, like, is this what we want people to think of when they drink Unsung? And, sometimes some people will say, it's fine, or it's okay, or I'm not getting what you're getting, but I think this is a lot better than what you're saying, and so forth. And so I take a lot of people's opinions, and sometimes I let people run with it as well. But ultimately, it comes down to what is, the consumer going to get. Like we made this beer recently, and it's just controversial just because of the product, but we talked about it. It's called the Pickler.
Yeah.
And Hammerburger in Santa Ana, soft plug, make awesome smash burgers. They also make their own pickles.
Okay.
Homemade. And so Kevin over there and I were talking, and he's like, people love your Mexican lager. You should really make a version with our pickle brine.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay. And so he started saving the brine, and we came up with a lighter version of Lumino, and the beer's doing really, really well. But it's one of those beers where, like you,
yeah,
either you really like pickles or you don't.
Yeah.
And so we tried to make it as balanced as possible, and we've given it to people that don't like pickles, and they've said, okay, I can drink this. It's not.
I'm one of those guys.
Okay.
I'm not a pickle guy, but it's good.
Yeah. So we wanted to make it balanced like that.
Yeah.
But people hear pickles, they think of like that sour,
mm-hmm.
that briny, that salt, cloudy salinity and stuff. And so that was one we went back and forth with our team, and we kept adding more and more pickle brine to it to get it to the level that it's at. But it's doing really well. And so that's, did I think when I first started a brewery, I would make a beer,
pickle beer,
pickle juice? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, I probably said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
But what the point I'm getting at is we're still trying to experiment and create, and make something unique,
of course,
and just see if people dig it. And that's all you can really do sometimes from a creative standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to mention something about chaos, the head retention.
Yeah.
On this bad boy.
You know how long that took us to figure out?
Yeah.
About 6 years.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, dude, I remember the first time, the first time I came down, like, to talk to you. And I want to say I had a hazy or something like that. But I was getting stuff set up. We were talking, and I forgot, and I left the beer there, and it was that head was still there.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. It was still so lacy and perfect and delicious, and everything that I've had since I've been, coming down here has always been phenomenal.
That's awesome. I greatly appreciate that. And I think that I'll never say I agree. I think that we're constantly improving and constantly trying to get better. And another big thing is, we use a lot of hops. So I think like the industry has shifted where we have the ability to select our own hops now.
Yeah.
And so there's certain qualities that we want in Columbus or Nelson. As a matter of fact, we get early pick Nelson so that we can get a lot more of the diesel-y character instead of the fruity Chardonnay, which is late picked.
Okay.
That's kind of stuff that I was talking about, where like the hop industry is changing, where they're getting a lot more sophisticated and being a little bit more tailored. Because again, if we make this beer chaos and the hops are giving off, conflicting aromas that was in the original batch and everything, that's hard for us on a consistency level.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to remember the one that it was when I saw you at Alchemy Craft when you went in and you went over there and talked. There was like a Super Smash Bros. One. Was it Melee? What was it called? Do you remember?
It was a Super Smash Burger.
There you go. That one was good.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, anytime I come here, I'm never disappointed. I'm always like, wow, that was good. And that last week when I did come down with some family because they wanted to. My uncle had never been to Monkish, so he wanted to go to Monkish. So he had a beer there, and I was like, we got to go to Unsung. So we walk on down, and he tried. I want to say I had the Regeneration, I had the Chaos Erupts, and then I think he had the Citra Hazy. He was like, yeah, he's like, that's all he drinks is hazies. So it's like he's a big like judge on hazies, but he loved it.
That's great. I mean, Monkish makes amazing hazies, and they've been awesome neighbors here for us. Just really, really solid employees, and it's good to have another place here that makes quality beer. I know Radiant's got their anniversary coming up in a few weeks, and it's just good to have people around that were making really good beer. That Super Smash beer was a hoppy pills, which I have a little background on because that was a style that was a little bit confusing to me.
Okay.
Because, with the hoppy lagers, it's a lager because it's got a lager and it's got to clean up and kind of get rid of some of the sulfur and everything. And so it didn't make sense to me how that's different than like an Indian Pale lager, an IPL, which I don't think I've seen an IPL out there in a long, long time.
Yeah, same. It's been a long time.
I think Fathom, Ballast Point used to make that one, I think. Actually, Jimmy probably knows the recipe. But so, what we do with our Pilsner is we found a strain that produces minimal amounts of sulfur. So the lagering time doesn't need as much.
Okay.
Right. So, what we want is the hop flavor to be at its highest point as well as the hop aroma. So we can get that with the hop aroma by dry hopping, but the hop flavor, if we're using that towards the end of the kettle and knockout, and then it's going to sit in a tank for 4 weeks, some of that's going to dissipate. And so by not needing to let this beer lager, we were able to get it out fresh and still be a clean hoppy lager. And so that's worked well for us. We used a liquid product on that from Freestyle called Hop Keef, which is great stuff. Figuring out the amounts is really the hardest thing. Like, how much are you going to put of T90 pellets? How much are you going to put of cryo? And then how much of that keef? And when we made that beer, our ratios kind of worked out pretty well. And that really like framed out a lot of our IPAs going forward.
Yeah.
To try and kind of mimic that. Because if you have too much of that stuff, A, it's overpowering, and B, it's got for lack of a better term, an oily chemical quality that can kind of shine through. As a matter of fact, we got hit up on this judge for JBF on our hoppy lager. He was spot on.
Yeah.
He pulled that out right away, and we got docked for it. And he was right, 100%.
Yeah. Speaking of JBF,
yeah,
someone got the judge this year.
Yeah, it was.
How was that?
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was great. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. You send beers in every year, and all you do is you get these cards back with feedback and everything. But to go through the process and see exactly how these decisions are being made, I ended up being at 3 final tables.
Wow, which
was awesome.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was a late addition, so I think they just kind of plugged and placed me where they had openings or needed.
Oh, okay.
But they were the decision making, I can tell you, for the most part, is extremely sound, and these are really, really, really passionate, intelligent people doing these things. I got to meet a lot of amazing people. I got to share some stories and hear some stories about people. I was at a table with someone from Brazil. I was at a table with the vice president of production from Guinness.
Wow.
She was awesome. Actually, she had I shouldn't say this. She had the sniffles, but she was spot on with her assessment of the beer. So we gave her a lot of credit.
That's awesome.
But yeah, what I was really most proud of was going through the beers, how much we go back to the guideline of that beer.
Okay.
Specifically. And for the most part, I would say on average, if you're getting 10 or 12 glasses, there's 3 that are of style, and there's a bunch in the middle that's kind of like hovering, and then the rest are kind of either oxidized or they have an issue or a problem. That was really eye-opening because it was consistent every single time.
Yeah. It could be like packaging at that point, or is it?
A lot of packaging issues. Yeah. But what was cool was the final tables, and, you got 10 beers and you're going through them. And we were pretty spot on in terms of what we all, because you sit there and you go through every beer and then you start to talk. And we were all pretty set on the top 3. One person really liked this other beer, but you kind of get outjudged at that point.
Yeah.
And so then you don't know who's sent these beers in or whatever. And then you go to the ceremony and you're like, I can't wait to find out who this beer was, because it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
And that was really, really exciting because, you're sitting there hoping to hear your name, but I got really excited to see some of these beers that I tried. And
of course,
they were awesome. So
yeah, that's exciting.
I mean, it was palate intensive, 8:45 in the morning, and you do probably 2 or 3 sessions till noon, and you have lunch, and then you do like 2 or 3 sessions in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're tasting a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I was in round 1 of non-alcoholic. I think it was non-alcoholic pale beer, which I was not really looking forward to.
Yeah.
But there was 2 or 3 beers where this is the only time I did this where I actually finished my sample. They were so good. Yeah. So it's nice to see a lot of people out there trying new things and doing new things, but the amount of work that people put in to do the judging and to try and get it right, they take very, very seriously. And it was great. Like I said, you're in Denver, so you get to go to some of the, the best brew houses in the country and drink on your off time. And
so Bierstadt, one of them, is that one of the places that everybody goes to?
Yeah. Bierstadt's one of them. Westbound and Down they're awesome with the beers that they're making. We went to, some of the guys I hung out with really liked cask beer. And so there's an old cask driven pub that's like kind of off the beaten path that makes nice, really good 3.2% bitters and stuff like that. And so we actually made one. We have one on tap.
The ESB?
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, I'm going to try that before I leave. Yeah.
We were inspired from that brewery to try one of these. And one of our friends that's a brewer here that really likes cask beer, we ended up naming it after him, Gavin's Grog. So he approved. So
love it. Yeah, no, I saw it because it's like 3.4 super crushable, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we put it on a Lucre just so that we can lose some of that carbonation in the final product and get a bigger, creamier head on it.
Oh, I love that.
So it's because we don't have an engine here.
Yeah, no, but that's awesome. Did you get to meet, or you might have known him already, Chris Williams?
I did. Yeah. I've known Chris for a while now.
Oh, yeah. Such a nice guy.
Incredible human being.
Yeah. I messaged him like the week after World Beer Cup last year. And I was like, I'm probably not going to hear from him for a while, or maybe I won't hear from him at all. Like a week after WBC messaged me, sent me an email. I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to do the show.
That's Chris.
Yeah.
You can email him or text him and he might get back to you, but it'll be like an hour or 2, and he always responds. He doesn't push you off to anyone else. And at GABF, he was extremely busy, running around and everything, but one of the best guys to have on our side for sure.
And it's cool to hear like your side of like, the judging part, because I mean, when I've talked to Chris, because Chris, like, like you said, he's so busy, he doesn't get a chance to kind of to do all the fun stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But so I've never had anybody on the show that's been a judge for WBC or GABF. So here we go.
Well, okay. So if there's brewers listening that haven't judged before or whatever, I do want to make one interesting point that people that I didn't know until I found out when I was judging. So the score sheet that you get and the individual ones, so you'll get, so I'll just give an example. We send in the West Coast IPA. We'll get 3 cards, and each card is going to go, it's going to have like a sliding scale, and it's going to say, appearance, in style, out of style, and you can write comments. And then it's going to say mouthfeel, in style, out style, and then comments. And it goes all the way through the tasting and everything. The last overall note is the same on all 3 cards. Okay. And the reason is because when you've tasted everything and you sit with your side of the table and you start to go through everything, one person writes that final note. Okay. Now that's important to mention because you'll get it and you'll say, oh, wow, 3 judges thought that this had diacetyl on it. Okay. And so then you're like, oh man, we must, and then you pull the beer aside and you go, wow, I don't know how we had diacetyl on that, or something will happen like that. Sometimes the 3 people that are going, through that conversation, one person's designated the one to type up the final thing. Sometimes that person may just type what he got on the beer and everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
So because you'll read through the comments, and you'll be like, wow, this guy really liked this beer, but then at the end he said, oh, this had DMS on it, or it had a flaw. That means that one of the 3 goes, hey, I picked this up on it, and that's why it's not going to go forward. So it's not all 3 saying that. It's usually one person. And that's important. That was the most eye-opening thing for me, because I'm like, I don't understand why this guy loved this beer, but then it didn't go through. That's what happens.
Wow.
So
that's cool. I mean, and I love that insight, because you never, like I said, I've never had anyone that's actually judged over it. I've talked to people that are, cicerones and all that sort of stuff, but not like judging at GABF or WBC. So that's incredible.
Yeah. And you get really good people. So
after being at GABF, drinking all those different beers and stuff like that, was there is there maybe a brewery that you maybe haven't collabed with, maybe internationally or, in the States, that you'd be like, man, I feel like this would be it'd be like a fun collab day or something like that, or a collab brew?
Anywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have, personal biases to breweries that I grew up with back in Cleveland. I think Fatheads out there is making some of the best beer in the world at the scale that they're making it to is insane. I was back home for Christmas and I went to their production facility, which is massive. And I was just shocked that everything on their tap wall tasted like just usually when you get that big and everything and you start, and especially inflation, or you start to cut back on some of products, and they don't do that. They're all about their product tasting the way it's supposed to taste on every fucking beer. And I was really, really taken aback. I didn't expect it to be so delicious. I've been going to Park City, Utah recently with friends, and there's a small 3-barrel brewery there called Offset.
Okay.
Guy's making otherworldly beer. He makes this 5% session hazy that's probably one of the best damn things I've ever tasted. And I don't like hazies. Actually, I have a can. I should have brought you one. I can get you one. But I got to meet him this past holiday. Real nice gentleman. He's opening up a bigger facility, but making some incredible hoppy stuff, and his lagers are amazing. So, I'd love to. You say collab. I call that more just sitting down and picking people's brains. I would just, I mean, I would nerd out a little bit with especially some of the bigger breweries and everything. I met Garrett from Maui Brewing, the owner.
Oh, how's that?
A couple of years ago. Amazing guy, great guy to have in our industry too. And I remember saying something to him he gave me a tour of the brewery, and I said something to him I remember saying something like, well, you got the next 3 months of batches planned. So how far do you have to have things planned? Because, you're on an island, right? So when he gets grain, he's buying a whole container of grain because when they need to brew, they need to brew. He can't really wait on it and so forth. And he looked at me, he's like, Mike, sometimes we don't know what we're doing until the day of. And that blew me away for a brewery that big. And he's like, just because we're a little bit bigger than you doesn't mean that that's changed or different. We still deal with the same issues. And I was shocked to hear that, but also pleasantly, relieved a little bit.
Of course.
That someone as large as well, sometimes they have to shift at the last minute and so forth. So I learned that being flexible from him is an important aspect.
Wow. That's cool, man.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, really solid human beings in this industry that care a lot about the product and what they're putting out.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things, and I harp on it all the time, but it's just what I love about this industry is that the camaraderie, the brotherhood, like wanting to make each other better. Yeah, there's a few people out there that are just kind of whatever, but I mean, every family has, those people, right?
Yeah.
I would say like 95% of the industry is fucking amazing.
Yeah. I actually wish we did more of those things here in Orange County, and the guild has tried to do a lot of those things.
Yeah.
It's a little bit difficult. Also by nature, I think brewers are very proud individuals as well. Mm-hmm. And so, I wish we, like our beer week, I wish that was like the old days in San Francisco, like mega,
Mm-hmm.
They were, big, and people tried to look forward to it every year. I wish we did more things of that nature. And it's just, there's only so much time for everybody to kind of put in that energy. So,
of course, but man, like I feel like what you're doing here, and some, the surrounding breweries and stuff like that. I feel like there's so much, like there's so many great places out there just to get people, just get out there, like try different things, and and do. Even, I mean, you can relate it to life though too. Like find something that makes you happy. Like, find, like I say, find your beer. Like to find your beers, yeah, going to a brewery and doing that sort of stuff. But it's also about finding something in life that makes you want to get out there, or makes you venture out, go on a brewery adventure.
And what gets you out?
Yeah. Find something like the people that want to just be like, settle with their settle and be unhappy with their 9 to 5. Like find something at least. Yeah. We all have to pay the bills, but like if you can find something to supplement, that to make you, happy, even if it's just on the weekends or, maybe a couple days during the week, find something like that to make you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've thought about that, especially since I changed careers.
Yeah.
You have those talks, and a lot of times it's head trash or it's negative feedback that you hear from your brain. But ultimately, I enjoy getting up and I enjoy opening up a door and smelling fermentation.
Yeah.
And I enjoy a quiet brewery and just hearing the bubbling in a bucket. I enjoy, as much as I hate to say this, diagnosing a problem and fixing it. And not only fixing it, but making it better so that it can't break going forward, or changing a process, or seeing an employee's growth. That's the other hard part about this business and being a small business owner is, I know every single one of my employees, and unfortunately or fortunately, the way you want to put it, when you're a small business, you know more than maybe most businesses would allow.
Yeah.
You're so close, you work together. I mean, people's struggles, and the things that they have to deal with. And so going through this last year, which I think is a learning approach for everything and everybody, you also realize that, I'm trying to keep a business afloat, but my employees are dependent upon the business. Not only are they dependent upon the business, they're dependent upon the decisions I make.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest and the hardest part of the job for me, is making final decisions on certain things, whether it's, and I never get it right. The hardest one for me is when we make a beer, I go, how much of this is going in a can and how much are we putting in a keg? And we'll set on that, and we'll go through production, and every fucking time it's like, well, we should have canned a little bit more. That flew off the shelves, and or wow, we have way too many kegs now, or whatever. I defy anybody to give me the answer to that.
Yeah, it's tough, right?
So, but what I try to do is I try to make the best decisions possible to get the company in positive standings and get us growth as well. And, when you see, we have a new cellarman, and we like to promote from within. And that to me is the most important thing. And
great.
He was a delivery driver for 2.5 years, maybe 3, which is one of the hardest jobs because, we deliver to Disney, which is 3 mornings in a week.
Wow.
And so he has to, be there at 5:30 in the morning. before the park opens, all that stuff. And so, he put his dues in, and, sometimes you get someone in the brew house and it clicks, and sometimes it takes a little longer.
Yeah.
But once you start to see that change where they're doing things and they get it, that's the most beautiful thing as a business owner to see, because you're like, oh man, this is great. Like, now we don't have to worry about this. This guy knows how to do this. This is going to get done properly. And this person gets it.
Yeah. Having that initiative, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's good to have people that want to be in the industry, because if you just have someone that's getting a paycheck, they'll do the job.
Yeah.
But they're not going to care about the job.
Yeah. You want that passion.
Yes. Yeah. And you need it, because I'm not the only one that's I can't be the only one that goes home and is going crazy why a beer isn't fermenting properly, or why the hops we used didn't come out the way we wanted to. Like, if we're not all having that mental struggle on the drive home, then we may have hired the wrong people for the job, you know? So.
Yeah, you want the people that are going to put that same care, same passion, same want, like, in your business, because, I mean, of course, there's like always going to be some that are, kind of, I feel like even in the craft beer in the industry, like, there's people that go in, there's a brewer here, and then all of a sudden you hear there's an opening because they went somewhere else.
Yeah. And I can't get my employees to do that.
Yeah.
If I run the brewery like totalitarian style.
Yeah.
Where I say my way or the highway. That's why I get people's feedback. That's why I give people the opportunity and the platform to have an opinion.
Yeah.
My biggest pet peeves is naming beers. I usually send that off to everyone else in the brew house, because it's a frustrating dichotomy. We've probably named, I don't know, 600 beers or whatever. At the end of the day. So because I'm giving them the place at the table, the platform to voice their opinion, and their opinion matters, that gives them the ownership of the job.
Yeah.
And when they go home, they think about it. If I said, I don't give a fuck what you say, this is what I say, and you're going to do it my way. Oh, and by the way, you don't do this right, and you don't do this right, and you don't do this right. Yeah. That's not the right environment when you're creating
not at
things, all. And so unfortunately, there are some places that are like that, because at the end of the day, it is a manufacturing job. Make no mistakes about it.
Yeah.
We are manufacturing a product. And with that comes certain SOPs and staples. But I believe you can have both. I believe that you can still be the final say on things, but give people the ability to change your mind.
Yep.
And so, right, wrong, or indifferent, maybe I get a little more insubordination than other breweries because of that. But I think that it's better for us in the long run to have people that care.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think it was Jared, I think, from Beer to Tang, when I talked to him back in, I think it was September. And he talked about, he's just like, he was telling me a story about how he was kind of set in his ways on one beer. But I guess one of his assistants was like, oh, maybe you should try this. And he was like, I don't know. But then he realized, he's like, I'm not the one. He's like, I have kids. I'm not the one going to breweries every weekend to try new things or different things. So he had to make that decision. Like, man, you know what? Yeah, you might be right. Let's try that.
Yeah.
And you can't be like you said, like a totalitarian or anything like that. Like, well, it's my way or the highway. But when
Jared's a great guy to brew with. He has a vast knowledge on the product, and he learned it during a time where it wasn't during the craze, right? So he learned a lot of things on how to do things the right way. And so he's just got a really good pedigree. He's got a really, really good background in the industry. Oh, yeah. And he knows beer very, very well. And I think the thing I love about Jared and the thing I hate about Jared at the same time is that he, for a long time, wouldn't give himself credit, but he's just a humble type of a human being. But he really is a great fucking brewer at the end of the day. And he had his aha moment, or I call it dream moment, that I dream about, when he got Alpha King.
I was so stoked for him, yeah.
It was the funniest thing in the world. We were both at Bierstadt, and we were sitting there, and he's like, all right, I got to finish this up. I'm going to, they do the Alpha King over at, oh God, what's it called? Rock Bottom, the original Rock Bottom. And I go, oh, you're going to go to Alpha King announcement? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, I'm going to pick up the crown. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And he said it. And I remember laughing at him. I was just like, he goes, did you send a beer? I go, yeah, I sent a beer. I didn't go. I don't want to go there. And I'm fine here. And if we win, great. If not, whatever. And so, yeah, he went and he fucking did it. I was really proud of him. And because, you know, he's been a guy who's made IPA in Orange County for a long, long time. So he's been making it the old school way. And then he had to figure out making it a new way and making it a way that's super acceptable in everybody. And yeah, sometimes like that's the cool thing about a brewery too. Like sometimes you just know it.
Yeah.
And it was written all over his face. And I was really happy about that because he's a very humble guy. And I said, shit, if Jared thinks this beer's a winner, then it's probably fucking awesome.
I'm so appreciative of that guy. Like he introduced me to like Danny from Tustin. He introduced me to Dario from Burning Daylight. I wouldn't have been able to do the collab without Jared.
Danny's a cool guy too.
Phenomenal guy. Really like super sweet guy.
Yeah.
And Jared, it's funny, like with that beer that he won for Alpha King, we recorded a Brewers Roundtable there at Bearded Tang. But we were like, oh, are we going to try like your Alpha King submission? He's like, oh no, it's not ready yet. So I didn't get to try it.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah, I didn't get to try it. But it was like a week or two away from like being ready, I guess. And then he had to send it in, and yeah, it was.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't get to try it either. I'm sure again, the people judging that know their shit, and I'm sure it was outstanding. So, and I go way back with Jared in this industry, and he was a big time mentor for me, and I'm so glad I got to see him and how he brewed. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything out of context here, but it's difficult to brew at that space in Tustin.
Yeah,
that he was at, and he was putting out incredible beers there. So it's nice to see him over at Bearded Tang, and it's nice for him to
get your flowers.
Yeah. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it's exciting. Just a couple more things. I don't want to keep you too long. So the craft beer industry, obviously, we know, like we've talked about it, a little bit, like about it being not in a lull, but I mean, just like trying to find its way. Because I know, like, I was talking to, by chance, like Doug Valicki from Rev Brewing in Chicago.
I know Rev Brewing. I didn't know.
He on Instagram, he's a beer aficionado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, him and I have talked a little bit. He's been on the show, but we talk every once in a while about wrestling and then about the craft beer industry. But he was telling me, he was like, yeah, like for every, just like the stats, like for this past calendar year, like for every 6 breweries that closed, 5 new ones opened.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I was like, we are seeing closures, but then that also brewery opening could be a second location for some breweries. So I feel like I wonder
how many of those are, not to cut you off, I'm curious.
Oh, you're good.
I wonder how many of those are breweries closing and then someone buying that brewery.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. A lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. No, because even down in San Clemente, like one of my favorites that I've been going to for the last few years was Lost Winds.
Yeah, Judge.
Yeah, now it's Judge. And make good beer.
Same guy too.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, Brandon Winokur.
Yeah.
Such a
solid dude.
The great guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I guess that gives me hope that maybe people don't think that the industry is dying. But when you look back at it in an entirety, there was a boom, and whether right, wrong, or indifferent, it's kind of like the whole fucking inflation thing. You throw a bunch of fucking money into something, during a downturn, it's gonna have ripple effects. And so, did we have too many breweries at one point? Absolutely. Do we know that was going to happen? It would fall off a little bit.
Yeah, well, people with money, like with a lot of money, would just throw something at it, like thinking like, oh, I'll just open up a brewery and it's going to make money. But just because you throw money at something doesn't mean it's going to, succeed.
It's very rare that works.
Yeah.
The other one that I see a lot of is when you get a restaurant tour to open up a brewery.
Yeah.
There's very rare instances where that plays out properly. And it's just because of the different management dynamics of like running a brewery, which is not a kitchen. I'll say that again. Running and manufacturing beer is not a kitchen.
Yeah.
And the management style of a restaurant. If those are separated, completely separated, with 2 individuals making decisions for each part, then it's going to be a struggle or a battle. And it typically will always, the restaurateur or management side will always win.
Yeah.
Which means that the beer ends up taking second stage, which when that happens, it sucks.
Yeah, of course, because that's what you're wanting to open a brewery, but then it takes the backseat to the food.
Yeah. But it still costs a shitload of money, to open up a brewery and to open up one that can, where you don't need to invest more capital in 4 years from now, right? Yeah. You open one up and you go, hey, if it does well, then that's a good problem and that's a good thing. And then I'll get investment and I'll open up a bigger brewery down the road.
Yeah.
Well, that comes with a whole lot of fucking issues, especially if you start bringing in investors. And so, being tied to something and still trying to maintain a quality product is the tough thing.
Yeah, and then if you have investors, they may want more input, and you may have to cater to what they want it to be. So, yeah, it can be tough.
Absolutely.
Where do you kind of see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's such a crazy question, man. It's so tough because, so things out here in California can change on a dime, right? And they do, whether it's a trend or it's a new product or a new thing, or it could simply be, us having to put on our cans that beer causes cancer.
Yeah.
Could cause a ripple effect. So that's such a hard question to answer in terms of 5-10 years from now. I like to look at it from a historical perspective. And we kind of talked a little bit about this. I was in Europe towards the end of last year, and I got to go to Cologne and Scotland and London. And the one thing that was very, very consistent there was they allowed for new style beers to be at these pubs and everything like that. But they still had those quintessential staple pub beers.
Yeah, those 3.4s or 3.3s. And
and they're fucking delicious.
Yeah.
And they're there for a reason. And they've been there for a long fucking
thousands
time.
Of years.
So, so if you look at it from a historical standpoint, I think there's always going to be a place for craft beer.
Yeah.
I think that as time goes on, breweries either become more sophisticated in their process or they die off.
Yeah.
And the ones that become sophisticated, it's kind of like the cream that rises to the top. And so
100%.
I'm constantly concerned because I want to make sure that we try to be in that.
Yeah.
In that cream that's rising. I think that we're definitely going to go back to a lot more of the 3 and 4% beers. And I think that is predicated based on this health kick that people are really, really concerned about from an alcohol standpoint. And then, you and I talked about this when, you're over in Europe, they actually eat real food over there.
Yeah.
And they
have to worry about all these different dyes and all this other shit.
Yeah. And they have laws about that. And so, there's people that are eating whole foods and drinking beer and drinking responsibly, and it's a part of their daily life. There's a negative stigma in the States when it comes to beer. And if you've read anything, and I'm not going to bore the audience, but if you read anything about prohibition and how religion kind of, dictated a lot of things back in the day.
Yeah.
It's gotten a negative, bad rap, and rightfully so. It's an abusive thing, and people can be abusive with it, and it does have an addictive quality to it, and there are people that are addicted to it, and that is I'm not talking about that. But what was nice when I was in Europe was you saw this mean animal that was actually more of a social, in between for people to sit down and just have a beer. And you see, women drinking, steins of Helles Lager over there. And they have 1 or 2 of those a day, and they're good. They go back home. And so, it's ingrained in their lives over there. And it's more of a social construct.
Yeah. It's more of a lifestyle there than it is, say, it could be here, I guess maybe.
And not frowned upon.
Yeah.
You don't look at a woman drinking, a Helles at 4% and say, oh, wow, she has a problem. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas here, it might kind of be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah.
The other thing I like about Europe, I'll say, is, and this is just, I'm putting this in there because I just was talking to someone about it last night, was you can go there and you can go into a pub or a restaurant or wherever, and you can sit there and you can have a conversation with someone, and a meaningful one, a long, nice, meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
And there's no fucking TVs anywhere. If you want to watch a sports game, you can go and see it, but in America, you go into a bank, grocery store, restaurant, or whatever, there's 80 TVs, and whatever's happening that day is right in your face. And so when you over there, when we went and had a beer at a pub, you turned off and you talked about what was in front of you.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking relaxing and nice to see that. And I miss that. And I wish we had that pub, and they've tried to do it here.
Yeah.
And it just, we're Americans, we're too high strung.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's honestly, like you saying that, that's what this is for me. Like me sitting across from somebody over a beer and talking about that beer, or talking about whatever's going on in life, or what struggles you're going through, or how life's treating you, anything like that. So,
well, I'd argue that you know more about the brewing industry than I do, because you talk to so many people, and everybody's situation is different, and there probably are some similarities, but at the same token, it's kind of dictated on how your brewery is set up.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a situation where your rent isn't crazy, or you got a renewal, and a lot of breweries close because their renewal comes in.
Yeah.
And it's more expensive, and they go, oh, and you're like, oh, why did they decide to close now? Well, their 5-year lease is up, or 10-year. Yeah. But I would argue that you have a bigger pulse on the industry and what's going on, and what people are liking, and what's working and what's not working than I do. And it's kind of like what I think you mentioned, Ian or Jared, where Jared said, I'm not the one going out on the weekend. He's drinking a Coors Banquet on Saturday night with a grill. And so a lot of my employees are those people that are going out and drinking and seeing what's out and about. And so, I think that you have a better pulse on that than most.
Yeah, I've seen, even just the 2 years that I've been doing this, kind of like, because hazies were really big 2 years ago, and they still are. But you're seeing those trends where you're seeing those, like the browns or black IPAs or black lagers, or seeing an ESB on a menu. And I feel like sometimes people see ESB, they're like, oh, what's that? And they think bitter, and they think it's like, and it's not even bitter.
Yeah. It's one of those bad names they gave back in the day.
Yeah. But you'll see stuff like craft cocktails now. You'll see those slushy machines.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see all these different things, and anything, to get people in there. But the one great thing, like you mentioned earlier, is wanting to make sure that it's up to par. You're not just going to put something out there just to put something out there because this other brewery is doing.
Yeah, and I would argue that it's not as easy as just making something up to par and then you've figured it out.
Yeah.
And you're done.
It's about growing.
You have to continue to do that.
Yep.
That's what's crazy about it. Like,
it's a brewer's mentality.
It's crazy. Again, it's a living product, and it does what it wants to do sometimes. Or it's a manufactured process in terms of how you cool a tank.
Yep.
And maybe there's an air bubble in your glycol line, or maybe it's 80 degrees and your grain increased 3 degrees overnight, and now you got to change up your mash temp. There's so many different variables that you need to be on top of, and that those all go into making a product on par every single time. I always thought, like, okay, well, once you make a beer style, I was like, oh, sweet, we can do this, nonstop.
Yeah.
And it's literally different every time, but that's what's beautiful about the industry.
100%.
So,
and that's why I love this industry. And I want to, if there's anything ever I can do to push it forward, that's all I want to do, just to get people out there. And you mentioned about there's there being similarities with brewers or owners or anything like that. I always say it's the journey, or the destination's the same, but the journey to get there is different. Mm-hmm. This will be episode 104, and there's not one brewer owner where I told everything was exactly the same. It may have started with homebrewing, and then you have some that never homebrewed before, and they just so happen to be working as a beer tender, and they were interested in that. Like you're talking about growth within a brewery,
and stuff like. I love that. I love when people want their employees to grow and be able to want to give like, hey, well, are you interested in trying maybe cellaring, or maybe, and then are you interested in maybe being an assistant brewer?
Yeah.
Stuff like that's the best.
We call it the hero's journey, and that's kind of where we got our name from.
Yeah.
Because, it's that ups and downs and failing and being in total despair.
Yeah.
And then rising from the ashes. And the hero's journey is essentially life.
Yeah.
And there's pitfalls and there's things to be aware of, and there's things but there's this learning.
Yeah.
There's this learning mantra in terms of, if you don't learn from something, what the fuck was the point?
Yeah.
So, and I like that about this industry. And hell, I'll be the first to say we've made some real stinking stinkers out there, but we've learned from it. We've tried to make the product better and better and better every time. And I think that, we still have certain struggles and things. Someone told me this, being the 8-year mark, everything fucking broke.
Yeah.
Like mechanically, things needed new gaskets, things needed to be recalibrated. It's that period where everything is completely out of warranty and you thought was going to last you 10 years, but really year 8 for us, we're going on it, is right about that time where like every fucking thing started breaking down. And you gotta move quick and figure it out, and then get back on the horse and continue, because the beer ain't gonna wait. Yeah. Especially if you're in the middle of a batch or you're fermenting, like you got to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, and Base Camp, by the way, phenomenal.
Oh, thanks, man.
I love that one. It was funny. I was trying to figure out like a picture to do with that can, and I wanted to make almost like a moon surface, so I couldn't figure out what to use. I was like trying to put flour on stuff like that to try to make it look like something. But then I realized I had wax paper, and I crumpled it up. And that's when I had that picture, and it almost made it look like a rocky kind of terrain.
Oh, yeah.
It was wax paper.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That looks cool.
Yeah, and I just sprinkled a little bit of flour on it, and then I put like a gray kind of filter to make it look more moony, I guess.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know how you did that.
Yeah, I was always trying to find because if I'm going to promote, if I want to put a picture of a beer out there, I want it to make sure it looks good. It's on me, and then it's also like a reflective of the brewery, because the beer is phenomenal, but I wanted it to pop.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, no. So in terms of us Unsung going forward for this year, we've refined a lot of our product. So like Chaos that you tasted now, we're going to have, there was one product that we used in our IPAs that was out of stock for a while, and it's finally back in stock. And
okay.
So, I think that you're going to see us come out with a lot of really, really, really punch in the face hoppy stuff going forward.
Love it.
We fully bought our contract, which is a nice thing for us from a cash flow perspective. We have all the hops that we need for the year at our brewery.
Awesome.
Instead of having to pool every so often. So, we're excited about that and about using them
I'm looking
up
for
to
man.
our best ability. So
that's sweet. And I did want to mention before, because I only have a couple of things left, but the mimosa, the seltzer that you made, phenomenal.
Thanks, dude.
So good.
That was one of those, let's make the best thing we can.
Yeah.
People were dying. They wanted like a 9% seltzer. Actually, Disney wanted it. And Disney has this thing where if it's over 9.5%, they have to mix it.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, just make it 9%. But that was a mistake. We made a seltzer base, and sounds terrible, but we were literally like, what kind of fruit do we have in stock?
Yeah.
And we had pineapple and tangerine. And so I was like, let's put those together. And it's a little tangerine heavier. And so it tasted like a mimosa. And we're like, all right.
It tastes exactly like a mimosa. It's so good.
Yeah. It's good because there's so much fucking fruit in it too. Yeah. But I will say we triple filter the seltzer. So that seltzer literally looks like if you took baking soda and mixed it with water. It's that cloudy initially. And so we strip it of the yeast, and then we filter it with 2 lenticular filters, and then we overnight it on carbon. just to clean it up and polish it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that it's almost like straight vodka on the final pass.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we deaerate a little bit of water to bring it down, because it's at that point, I think we make like an 18% seltzer, and then we bring it down to 9%.
Wow.
And then back fruit it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that one did really well at Disney. A lot of people really liked that seltzer. And so we're going to keep that on and make it a mainstay. Again, so that, think about that. We have a tank that's, 18, 20% seltzer base all the time making. That's a new thing for us. We would do seltzers here and there, but now we're going to try and make sure we always have one or two seltzers and the mimosa as a mainstay. So
it's great, man.
Yeah.
Love it. Before we finish up, no, you're good. One quick thing. I added this to, I don't think I ever asked you this on the previous 2 episodes. Desert Island beers. You could pick one craft, one domestic. What would you go with?
Fuck. Oh, man.
Mine used to be Banquet. Now it's Hams.
Oh, you switched?
Yeah, I switched to Hams. Yeah, I love Hams. Yeah,
I'm such a Banquet fan. I don't know. I guess it's domestic to Germany, but
there you go.
I would take Augustiner's Helles.
Okay.
I could live off of that over water.
Yeah.
Craft. I'm old school. I would probably want to bring something hoppy, and so
okay.
One of the beers that I drank a lot of when I was coming up and opening up our brewery was Amalgamator.
Okay.
At Beechwood,
Good one.
I think it's got so much on it, and it's what I like, super dry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would bring something light, and then I would bring something hoppy like that local craft, I would think. That's such a broad question.
I know. It's a tough one, yeah. That's why sometimes I'll say like what kind of style instead.
Okay.
Because I know with craft it can be, having to pick from all the good ones out there.
Yeah. I love something that's light and in the 4 and 5% range.
It's perfect.
When we go to Colorado for JBF, I'm drinking Banquet because it's so damn good out there.
Yeah, and it's probably so fresh too.
Yeah. What about you?
It'd be Hams for me, but like a West Coast. Right. There's so many breweries to choose from. Chaos would definitely be in there because I love that one. But probably a West Coast or like a Hoppy Pills or like a West Coast. They're calling West Coast Pills now, like something like that.
Yeah.
Because you still get that hoppy punch, but you get that clean, crisp finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably Hams or that. Maybe because I'm drinking the Hams, I might need something else, but. I just love a good West Coast. To me, when it's done right, you can't beat it.
Yeah. I agree. Especially being out here, I don't know how much you travel out west or east, but West Coast is completely different on the East Coast than it is here. Even people try, East Coast breweries making West Coast, they're different.
Mm-hmm.
We're fortunate out here, and I think, a beer. When you look at a beer, it's got to look good, it's got to smell good.
Yeah.
It's got to feel good. It's got to taste good. But the other nice thing about California is your environment, I also think, is a big part 100%. Of enjoying a beer. And so having this beautiful weather, lots of sun, I just think that those go hand in hand with a
100%.
beer. And so we're fortunate and fortunate to be out in the land of hops. I think I always say this, that, it's kind of like, if I know you're going to get into football, so I'll use the analogy that if you're going to play in the AFC North, you're playing with some of the harder hitting, rough, cold weather football teams. You got to be able to hang. And my Browns don't do that very well.
Yeah.
So, but you would think that you learn over time. So being out here where there's the real heavy hitters, where hops really, really shine, I think that makes us only better.
Yeah.
And trying to play in that playground is where we want to be, but it's also, rising tide rises all ships type of thing. So.
Oh yeah. So before we finish up, who do you think wins the Super Bowl? Or who do you think is going to play it and win it?
I think I was dead fucking wrong last year when we were talking about.
Yeah, I was trying to remember who we all picked, but I can't remember either.
I remember saying that don't kill me for this. I didn't want San Francisco to win last year.
Yeah.
I don't want Kansas City to go this
same.
year.
Yeah, I want the Bills to beat them so bad.
What I really thought was going to be the best Super Bowl ever was going to be Bills-Lions.
Yeah.
And so that's not going to happen. So I would like it to be, what I like it to be, I like it to be Bills-Redskins. I think that would be a really fun.
I think it'd be a fun matchup.
Yeah. I want to see the Bills win a Super Bowl. You know, I grew up when Norwood missed those field goals, and
the three, was it the three in a row?
Yeah,
that's rough.
And so I think they deserve it. I think Josh Allen's a hell of a ball player, and I think that they might have all the pieces this year. I hate being controversial, and I hate saying this, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, but it may come down to the refs.
Yeah.
And seeing Kansas City sleep in again. So
I feel like there's been so many controversial calls with the Chiefs over the last 3 years. Like, I mean, it's been, I don't know. I just feel like if it was like a rookie quarterback getting hit, something like that, they might not have called certain things, but because it's Patrick Mahomes and he's like the face of the NFL, they have to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they feel like they have to.
Yeah.
But I don't like it either.
Yeah. I think, and then of course, you know, I have a best friend from college that is a big Eagles fan. So I wouldn't be upset if the Eagles went as well.
Yeah.
I think they're fun to watch too. I just think, I don't know, man, the Redskins started playing incredible at the right time.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels is probably one of the first quarterbacks that really, really, I mean, Bo Nix did a little bit this year for me too, but Jaden Daniels, where I was like, wow.
Yeah, he didn't and knock on wood, because I don't want to jinx him, but he hasn't looked like a rookie than maybe like a couple times throughout the year, but
the game ain't too big for him.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So from a gambling perspective, I haven't done, I think we're damn near broke even right now.
Yeah.
So I haven't done great this year in terms we bet player props and stuff, but yeah, no, I mean, there's been some surprises. I really thought the Lions had it this year.
So did I.
Yeah.
I just feel like those injuries just piled up.
Yeah.
19 injuries on defense is insane.
Yeah. They were playing out of their minds too with second stringers. So, I mean, you know, they'll come back stronger next year. But so if I had to tell you, I guess I would say the Bills are probably a good bet, or the Eagles.
Like too. Yeah, I hope so too. I'm hoping for the Bills just because I feel like that city needs it.
No shit.
Yeah.
And those guys are crazy. I don't know if you see some of their tailgating stuff.
Oh yeah, I've talked to one. Like there was this one. She's like a beer influencer out in Buffalo, and she goes to she is a season ticket holder, so she's like telling me stories about throwing people through tables and lighting stuff on fire.
Yeah, they're nuts.
It's insane.
Eagles fans are the same too, but yeah, it'll be interesting. So that's tomorrow. We got the AFC, NFC. So
yeah. Well, honestly, Mike, I just want to say thank you, man.
Yeah, I love you, man. You're great. I think these are fun, and I hope that I'm not too boring or I don't ramble on too much, because
not at all.
Like I said, I could talk about this stuff ad nauseum, and you know, it's like when we had we did this with Jimmy last year and everything, and
Jimmy's over there eating nachos.
Yeah, Jimmy's the type of guy too where you know, I learned this at GABF. Like, there's so many people there, and the people I ended up you find your crew.
Of course, yeah.
And the people I ended up hanging out with were all beer nerds. Yeah. And all we did was sat and we just talked beer until we were like fucking red in the face.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah. And I took a step back one night and I was like, I don't fucking believe this. Like, it's weird that you find that, you know, my dad got drafted at Vietnam and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, like, you just find your crew.
Yeah.
You gravitate towards like-minded people, or and that's kind of similar to what happened when I was at GABF. And I went to bed one night when I was up there and I was like, I don't fucking believe this. I drank beer all day and judged, and then we went and we talked about fucking said beer for for hours upon hours. And so, you know, Jimmy's one of those guys as well that can just sit there and talk beer. And
he's great.
And I love that about that. So as a matter of fact, you should get, I don't know if you've ever had Gavin on the show?
No.
Okay. I'll introduce you to Gavin. He's one of my best friends. He's he's running the program over at Golden Road in Anaheim.
I'd be in. Yeah.
By far the 100% smartest person I know in general, just smart, like Mensa shit. On top of that, the most knowledgeable person when it comes to beer I've ever met. And just a genuine, solid individual with a great pedigree, awesome history. He can tell you some really cool stuff.
I'm 1,000% in, man.
Cool.
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate you. I mean, it wasn't for you, I don't know if the show would have gone the way it has. And I'm truly grateful to you, to obviously, to let me come down here, to your wife for letting me steal you away for a little while.
I think she was happy about it today.
Oh, there you go. Well, let's do something. Let's plan. Let's not wait a year. Let's plan something for the anniversary.
Awesome. That'd be great, man. That'd be great. Yeah, that'll be August.
Okay.
And like I said, man, I hope that I this was somewhat educational, or I hope this was somewhat helpful 100%. To anyone listening. And I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
You were great, and you always are. And every time I come down here, I am always like in awe of the stuff that I drink.
Well, we got to bring you to the production facility. You got to let me know next time you're down in closer to Tustin. Just stop by.
I'm in. Yeah. Even I'll clear a day. Yeah, right. I'll clear a day to go hang out because I still need to try those peppers. We talked about it in episode 1. I got to try those peppers.
God, man. Yeah. They keep getting hotter and hotter. You don't ever get used to them. That's the funny thing, but they're good.
I'm in. Well, Mike, thank you again, brother. I appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
I got to go try that ESB.
All right, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, it was a great, great, great time with Mike. He's just such a sweetheart and such a great person in this industry. And honestly, like, if you haven't been to Unsung, like, I don't know what you're doing. You got to get over there. I'm trying to think of who's up next. Oh, also, I hope you guys enjoyed the reel this week. I wanted to do something. I've been wanting to do a Find Your Beer kind of reel, so that's what this is impacting. It being the 2-year anniversary, I wanted to include other like breweries in the reel and just talk about what finding your beer means, because it is about finding, going out there and finding your beer, but it also it's a metaphor for life and trying to find something that you love to do as well, because you don't want to be unhappy your entire life. So yeah, so next week's episode is the Ogo Pogo. Week after that will be Cody Sherwood. Week after that will be the Brew Stilled. I will be in Texas next Sunday. So next Sunday, I'm going to be recording that day with, I believe, On Rotation. And then on that Thursday with Petacolas. And then that Saturday, I'm going to be in San Diego. So I'm probably going to be doing a San Diego Brewery hop-in episode, something like that. That should be pretty fun. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl. Hope everybody has a great freaking day. And be safe out there, and have some beers. But like I said, be safe. Always remember to support local, drink local, and find your beer. Cheers.